Now, on to a story about some Southern California students who are fighting to have a more prominent voice in their own educations. They're pushing to lower the voting age to 16 in school district elections. It wouldn't be the first time teenagers fought the voting laws. During the Vietnam War, students demanded the right to vote and got the age limit lowered from 21 to 18. They said if they were old enough to sacrifice their lives in war, then they were old enough to vote. LA Times reporter Sonali Kohli has been following this story, and one high school senior in particular named Tyler Okeke. Hi, Tyler. Hi, Sonali.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
First of all, how did you find him, and what made you want to tell the story?
Tyler needed no finding. He was elected by the students of Los Angeles Unified to be the student board representative on the LA Unified School Board, which is the second biggest school district in the country, so it's a very big responsibility. And he's definitely always been vocal about his very well-informed opinions about the things that the school board is discussing. It's a non-voting membership, so he can't vote, but he can tell the board members what he's hearing from students and what his perspective is as a student on issues.
He participates. Real quickly, what school do you go to now, high school?
Dr. Richard A. Vladovic, Harbor Teacher Preparation Academy.
Okay, and what did you say to those board members?
Well, on the issue of voting, a lot of them had sort of concerns about whether we were ready to vote or whether we even care about voting. And what I had to say really is that sort of the political direction of our country and kind of the influences that are around us, especially with having Twitter and Facebook and Instagram at our fingertips, we can't afford to not be ready. We can't afford to not care. Some of the issues that are being discussed, especially as it relates to DACA, immigration, gun reform, climate change, they directly affect us and the quality of life that we'll have in the future.
And so what made you think that lowering the voting age to 16 would make it better, would make it more representative? Do you think kids are really ready to participate?
I think we are. I really do. And I think that just because in this last year being on the board, the discourse of board members has been kind of distant from the interests of students. And that's because we have two warring powers at the board level. That is the United Teachers Los Angeles and the Charter School Association. And kind of we've distanced ourselves from the deep interests of the people of color that this district serves. Over 60% are immigrants, over 75% or about 74% are Hispanic. And we just see that because of more enfranchised, more well-funded interests, that our interests have been put on the back burner. And I think that giving us suffrage or giving us the right to vote would allow us to have more power and have more influence on who's representing us and what they're saying.
Sounds like the school board strike lit a fire under you, right?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And for many reasons, not because I fully support UTLA or one other group over another, but just because I had personal experiences related to that strike that kind of made me see that this isn't just about students.
Like what?
I was a participant in the strike for a while, a long time actually. And then using the metro services beside teachers, I went on the bus with two other of my friends. And the teachers came on the bus and they were drunk. After that, a native to Los Angeles, a Hispanic, was speaking Spanish. And the teachers responded, "Stop speaking Spanish, speak English." And I said, this could be the parent of one of our students. Like I said, over 70% of our district is Hispanic. And that's how they reacted to that person's identity. And I just saw, even when I put out a statement about wanting to see sort of a consensus to make sure that we can continue to have a safe space for our students of color and our vulnerable LGBTQ+ students, even our homeless students and foster students, I saw that that wasn't the only motive of UTLA. And I know that they do a lot of work and their rhetoric was very empowering to the student cause, but that there were many underlying causes and many underlying circumstances that their advocacy wasn't inclusive of.
Sonali, you have been following the political activation of this particular generation. Tell us about it and what sparked their interest and their activity in true activism.
Yes, I think it's, and kind of political science experts and education experts will tell you it's not a coincidence that this wave of activism is happening at this moment in American history, when rhetoric is really charged and when the youngest generation is the most diverse generation, particularly in Los Angeles, don't support the president and don't support what the president says about people who are parts of their community. And students at a very young age are realizing that if they want to see change, it has to happen from them. So after the shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School,
Parkland, Florida.
Yes, you saw students become extremely involved in political activism for gun reform. After the election, I reported on student walkouts in support of immigrants and in support of immigrant populations in Los Angeles. When the day of the inauguration, I was on a bus with Black Lives Matter activists, and I watched a kid who was younger than 10 leading chants from a flatbed. So kids are really involved, and they, especially in LA, they're not happy with what they see politically, and they realize that if they wanted to change, they need to be the ones to change it. And I think a lot of young people are taking it upon themselves to do the research they need to do to be well informed, because there's a lot of misinformation happening in adults too. It's not just kids.
Tyler, one of the criticisms of people who say maybe we shouldn't give it to them is that teachers might wield too much influence over your young minds. What do you say to that?
I think that, speaking from my personal experience and also the experience of other students around me, that I think at this age, and I know that you're a mother, that at this age we're kind of most resistant to what's being told to us. And we're kind of critical of what
Yes.
we're hearing and kind of sort of the rhetoric that's put in front of us. And I know for me, that's been me in economics, where a lot of it is capitalist indoctrination. And I'm not saying that I don't agree with capitalism, but like kind of why we structure our economy and who our economy serves. Like that's something I'm very hypercritical about in the classroom, and I can say that for all of my classmates.
It's really fascinating. I wish you well. I know that if you're involved at 16, the researchers say that you're more likely to be an engaged constituent as you age,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And for you, you're going off to Chicago?
Yes, I am.
All right.
I'm very excited.
And politics in your future, maybe a little bit?
Yes, definitely, actually, yes.
Okay. Tyler Sonali, thanks so much for coming in.